a little bit of my work. It's a very quick show reel. Boom, here we go. Make the flow shake. Make the flow shake. Make the flow shake. Make the flow shake. So that's what I do. We got that out of the system. So yeah, my name is Liva, and today I really want to talk about a very important topic for myself. It's called self-doubt. And I want to talk about how it can or ruin or fuel your creative growth. You see, 2020 has been a very challenging year for a lot of us, including me. I actually changed my jobs in the middle of a pandemic while I was being pregnant. And honestly, I suddenly started completely doubt myself on every single choice that I did make. Can I perform in such a challenging and certain situations? Did I make the right design choices? Are the things I could do better with my team? I have to win all the arguments with my husband. And that doubt is what makes us do better, look back at our actions and push ourselves to learn from them. So I want to ask you, how often do you feel self-doubt? Well, the biggest self-doubt that I usually feel is when it comes to making decisions, especially when it comes to making these big life-changing decisions. And I want to specifically talk about one very big decision in my life. In 2015, I have just joined a very big global company as a designer. I had, of course, worked at smaller agencies before in Latvia, but this was big times. I was working with leading brands, and it sort of felt like dreams were now becoming a reality, but it also felt very nightmarish at the same time. And this is where I'm talking about imposter syndrome. I was brimming with feelings that I didn't belong there, that absolutely everybody was better than me, and my self-doubt was actually taking over. And I remember one Friday afternoon, I was sitting at my desk, and I suddenly noticed that designer who was sitting next to me started to pack his things. And I was telling him, like, oh, nice, you're starting your weekend early, just to make a casual conversation. On what he replied, I am award-winning designer and I have my own agenda, unlike you do. He must have had a bad day and he had no idea how that affected me. But I was already so filled with self-doubt, I couldn't really carry it. His words were like that straw that broke camel's back, the little drop that created tsunami inside me. And I remember I went back to my flat that day and I started to look for flights back home to Latvia. And I started to write a resignation letter in my head. Because I knew that I was way over my head. I wasn't good enough for that team. I wasn't good enough for those projects. At the same time, I did know that staying meant that I will eventually learn from the best and one day will become one of them. But leaving meant giving up my dreams, but then releasing that overwhelming, that horrifying self-doubt that I had inside me. So I had to choose. I did decide to stay because I really wanted to grow and evolve as a designer. And after all, nobody has ever achieved anything great without venturing outside of their comfort zone, isn't it? Soon after, I actually got my first big project. My creative director literally told me, let's see, will you swim or will you drown? Well, needless to say, it was terrifying and further outside of my comfort zone that I could ever imagine. But I kind of buckled up and I gave it all. You see, a healthy mix of distrust in your abilities and sheer determination to succeed. I managed to push design beyond what I was comfortable with, knowing that anything that I was comfortable with wouldn't be good enough. Not for me. Well, this project also taught me something fantastic. It let me feel pride in my work. So with every new project I worked on, I actually gained a little bit more confidence. And I felt a little bit more like I belonged there. And little by little, one day, the doubt was gone. And I actually realized that I became one of the top designers at the agency at the time. All because in the most dire moments of self-doubt, I actually chose to stay and grow and evolve. So from now on, I try to frame my self-doubt a little bit differently. I try to use it as a catalyst for self-improvement. It is that self-doubt that we feel when we're outside of our comfort zone that drives us to be more creative, to be more courageous, and to become better. It's good to remind ourselves that every failure is just a temporary setback, an opportunity to learn. Nothing is ever given, and everything can be improved. So never let your fear or fear of looking foolish try to stop you from learning new things. Let your self-doubt fuel your creative growth. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to quote a great American psychologist and author, Adam Grant. He said, "We know that excellence is not about believing you're the best. It's actually always about striving to get better." And it's a very true words. With that in mind, I actually have a question to you. How many of you look back even 5 years ago and think, wow, this is the best work I've done up to date? Well, likely not many of us believe that. Not that we don't have to feel pride in our work, but practice do make it perfect. So with our newfound knowledge now, after many years, we know that we could have done things faster, more creatively, or overall with a smoother process. Maybe it's your harder skills that have been improved. Sketch instead of Photoshop, artboards instead of layer comps. I still have nightmares over layer comps, gosh. And the reason for this, of course, is that each project we work on, we're honing our skills and gaining new knowledge and expertise. If not, we wouldn't be here today sharing our knowledge and skills and actively seeking for new ways to improve. So in a way, this is self-doubt in action, pushing us to stay passionately curious to discover solutions, even when we have limited time and resources to create the best possible outcome we can. And of course, this applies to our lives, personal lives as well. But how do you really take that next step by putting self-doubt to work? For you is what you do next, and that's self-reflection. Taking time to evaluate yourself, your work, your goals, your actions, and your attitude is essential to moving forward to a better, more balanced life. Remember those feelings of self-doubt when you started your last project. How did you overcome that? What can you, in this moment of reflection, take away what will help you to grow and evolve? So one of the best ways to remind yourself of your skills and stay curious is creating self-evaluations. I personally do them on a weekly basis, but of course it's really deeply personal and really depends on how you feel. But this is how I do it. I take a bit of paper and I write down things that I think I did well, what I didn't do so well, and what can I improve. And those are ideas how I can move forward. Mine is often a mix of a personal and a professional self-reflections. Because our skills aren't just gained and exercised at the office. It's also how we interact with everybody in our lives. Are you a good team player? Do you tend to take feedback personally? Or maybe for better or for worse, you have a habit of projecting your thoughts and your moods on your coworkers. There are so many questions that we can ask ourselves. And there isn't a skill out there that cannot be improved with some self-awareness and practice. A couple of things that I have learned is, well, definitely my favorite one is shared ownership. I have learned that I do not hold the vision of the beginning and end of the project, how it needs to look like, but every single person who is involved has a voice of changing and stirring their own direction and vision to that project. Different perspectives is really important because honestly, we come from different cultures, different languages, and we're brought up completely differently. So it's very important whenever you have or argument or basically any kind of disagreement, remembering that we're all different and trying to think of other people and put yourself in their shoes. And definitely one of the most important things that I've learned is I don't always have to give an opinion. Sometimes I just need to listen. And honestly, listening can get you a lot further than you can imagine. Throughout this process, it's also important not just to focus on what you can be better at. Make sure you take time to also really look and celebrate things you're doing good and compliment yourself for them. Acknowledging your sharper skills that you have right now helps you to be proud of your work and how far you've become in your life. It allows you to understand how capable of change you are. Practicing this kind of gratitude will make a real difference in your life. And yes, the act of practicing gratitude itself is a skill that you can be better at. The confidence and appreciation you can get from this exercise will not only bring more positivity in your life, but it will spill all over your interactions with your colleagues, friends, and family. We can get so caught up in wanting to do better, sometimes that it makes us only look for shortcomings in projects, in ourselves, and in others. But to truly grow and evolve and to help others to do so, self-reflection needs to be included with a positive feedback as well, or else we're only telling half the story and only reaping half of the benefits. So self-reflection can also require a level of vulnerability and honesty that helps us connect more easier and on a deeper level with others. It forces acceptance and also trust and allows us to stay open to coaching and guidance, to stay open to self-improvement. Lastly, practicing self-reflection. Remember, it's absolutely okay not to know everything. In fact, it's a good thing. You cannot stay curious if you know everything. This environment of honesty and vulnerability created by doubt-facing and genuine self-reflection breeds the ultimate climate for optimal collaboration. Success is better gained from a mindset of collaboration rather than competition. That is a truth that I believe that younger generation understands so much better. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to quote a motivational speaker and author, Simon Sinek. He says, "A team is not a group of people that work together. A team is a group of people that trusts each other." And the word trust is the most important thing here. You have to trust people you work with to create amazing, beautiful things. And you see, when I started in this industry, the collaboration looked very different. The focus was more individual success, and it was a lot more egocentric. And it was championing individual talent instead of encouraging collaboration and teamwork. You see, it's unhealthy to work in an environment like that. It creates a competitive mindset that destroys unity and makes every single person on a team feel secure. When you constantly need to feel like you need to fight for your success and inclusion to prove your worth, you lose time and energy, and eventually it can affect your happiness. All this energy could be used so much better creating this amazing work. So don't waste it on a wrong kind of a thing. So to foster and to work in a truly collaborative ecosystem means happier teams and a better, more creative work. A successful team, when you are heard, feel included, safe, and supported, is vital. Being exposed to pressure is part of life, but that pressure should come within trying to create best creative solutions and trying to find the best ways of creating beautiful things and design and learning new things, not within your team. The happier you are, the better work you will create. The closer you work with your team in a healthy way, the more you will learn, grow, evolve. Honestly, positive reinforcement simply just works. And one of the most important things I want to tell you that doubt is natural. It can be scary being outside of your comfort zone. The critical thing to remember is that you always have a choice. Do not let your self-doubt stop you from making exciting, new, life-changing decisions. Do not let it derail you from your dreams, but use it to harness your doubt and push yourself to raise and meet new challenges. Use it as a fuel to your evolution and help you grow. See, acknowledge your doubts, recognize them, meet them head on. You can succeed, you can fail. It's all part of the learning process. Self-reflection is a very important thing to keep in mind, to keep yourself improving and keep learning. What I want to encourage you today is just to take a piece of paper and write down things what you do well and see how that makes you feel. So take those newfound insights and put them in good use. By doing so, you will not only achieve great feeling of achievement for yourself, but you will also be able to create real collaboration with people in your team that will lead you to a harmony and a projects that have more better, beautiful, creative outcomes. I can promise you that. Collaboration is the key. Thank you so much for listening to me.